Brought to you by Pentz Homes and part of the Hitting the Hardwood podcast network. This is Lynx Happy Hour. Welcome back, everyone, to a new episode of Lynx Happy Hour. Long overdue, I know, but we are back and plan to be back every week for the rest of this WNBA season, including especially this month, this April of chaos. We're gonna have to rename something because it's March isn't the month of madness anymore. it's April, and taking a few minutes out of how chaotic it's been is our Toronto Tempo beat writer at the Nine Sports and also otherwise my incredible coworker CHELSEA Leite. CHELSEA, thank you so much for being here today to talk about this historic occasion in Toronto Tempo franchise history.
Yeah, of course. Excited. It's like we were all saying yesterday, it just feels surreal. Like it just feels surreal to be able to be talking about this team, of course, but also like players and the season, and
Yeah.
it's all just like happening so fast. And so yeah, I'm so happy to be here with you, to be talking about the team, to have a team to talk about.
Yep.
It's a lot of it, yeah, it just I'm maybe just giddy. Like that's just how it
Mhm.
feels. Like I'm so excited.
Yeah, you've been in this spot for months and months now, probably more than a year,
Mhm.
at least knowing that you'd be covering the Tempo. I can't remember exactly when the Tempo were announced. That was for sure more than a year ago.
2 years. It's gonna be
So
two
it's
years.
been 2 years that you've just been, a Tempo beat writer. I know for the Nine and a bunch of other places. You're all over the place, CHELSEA. It's incredible. Uh, and all that time, not a single player to talk about. And now we have players to talk about, whether they end up on the team or not. That's just super exciting. Can you just tell us a little bit about like how people have been, reacting to the just this moment of like, okay, we've actually got, this isn't the final roster by any means, but we can start looking at player styles, how they'd fit with the Sandy Brondello system. Just how excited are Tempo fans right now?
Oh man, it's been, like you said, like 2 years of lead up. But even before that, like there's a crew of us here who have been working in the sports media space, who have been championing the WNBA for way longer than the Tempo have been in existence, before expansion was even being talked about. So this just feels like, yeah, like a long time coming. And the past 2 years, obviously, that's a lot of time to build up hype for a team. And so fans who are coming into it now who aren't necessarily on the media side, who aren't covering it, who are just genuinely excited for, Toronto WNBA basketball, it's been a little interesting over the past, even like the past 6 months, because the expectation, of course, was that the last season would end and then Toronto would just kind of get going and get started
Mhm.
on things. And they did as much as they could with, jerseys and hiring Sandy and all of this stuff. But I kept getting asked, like, where are the players? When are the players happen? When do we get players? And it's
Yeah.
like, and the whole thing was like, okay, the CBA, the CBA, the CBA. Like, I explained the CBA negotiations so many times to, people on the Raptors beat, to my parents, to like
Yep.
friends, to people like who had no idea what was going on. Like, the city of Toronto learned about the CBA negotiations because, yeah, that was the only thing we had to talk about. And then there was a little bit of that period where it was like, oh my God, is there going to be a season? Like, and then we very quickly flipped into like, okay, we're having a season and this is about to be the most condensed off season to ever happen.
Right.
And so it's just been a lot of like one thing after the other. And I think fans are just like very excited to be along for the ride. There's been so much like I said, 2 years of hype. And anytime something has happened, it's just been met with a lot of joy and a lot of um, a lot of fans, there's like the people like me who have been tapped in to the league for so long and know the players and know the coaches and know how significant a lot of this stuff is. But there's also the people who don't know anything. And so there's a lot of just genuine, like, not really sure what this means, but excited to see how it turns out. And that has been the thing since the CBA and starting to talk about players is a lot of these people just being like, okay, this is so exciting. Like, I'm excited to learn about this and excited to like see who these players end up
Hmm.
being. And so that all kind of culminated yesterday when we did finally get players and we did finally get that hype. And the reaction has just been, again, joy. Like there's just so much joy. And I think that just really encapsulates Toronto as like a basketball market. There's so much joy, there's so much hype. People love supporting basketball here. And I think that's what the most exciting thing for some of these players coming in, especially those from smaller markets, are going to enjoy about playing for a big market like Toronto. Because I mean, some people might think it's small, but Toronto's about to be one of the biggest markets in the WNBA. And I think I'm not sure some of the players are expecting the hype they're about to walk into.
This episode of Lynx Happy Hour is brought to you by Pentz Homes. The team at Pentz Homes has experience working with first-time home buyers, folks selling their first home and buying their next place, to people looking to downsize. With the best tools, technology, and trusted vendors to help with any home project, Pentz Homes is a top choice for buyers and sellers. For more info and to set up a time to meet with Nate and the team to talk about your home buying or selling needs, visit pentzhomes.com. That is Pentz, PENTZHOMES.com. No, that's awesome. And sorry, our my cat Kirby is joining us on the show right now. Thank you,
Just
Kirby.
excited about the
This is
tempo.
very helpful, very helpful for sure. But I love hearing all of that. I love the excitement that's building. I'm obviously excited to get a early look at this team. As one of the preseason games is Toronto at Minnesota,
Mhm.
and with that, I was one of the easy predictions was we'd have a pretty early on reunion with Lynx legend and Canadian royalty, Bridget Carleton, whose name was called yesterday, but not in the spot we had all predicted it would be. And you mentioned in our company Slack channel just about the level of the gasp that went through the room of all the media members watching it at the sort of where the official media presence was, and which a presser happened afterwards. I'm going to ask you about that, but just
Yeah.
can you recreate that gasp here audibly, or just talk about take us inside of the room, what it was like? Because I sat there and I yelled, "Oh shit!" My wife was like, "What is happening?" I'm like, I was came to terms. I think some Lynx fans did, some didn't, but it was
Mhm.
like someone we love is gonna be gone, and I kind of just thought it was gonna be Bridget, so I wasn't
Mhm.
surprised to see her face pop up
Mhm.
very early, but I was surprised to see that Portland logo next to it. So what was it like in the room up there in Toronto?
Yeah, I mean, Bridget has been one of the names that has been going around quite a lot. Like when you think about who are the Canadian prospects who are like in the league, Aaliyah Edwards isn't available because she's under contract, and the
Hmm.
Connecticut Sun were very likely going um to protect her. Then you had Chicago with Kia Nurse, and they did that deal where nobody could be taken. So then that took
Right.
Kia Nurse off of the table. And then there was Letitia Amahir, of course, and Bridget Carlton. And yeah, Letitia was kind of an option for the tempo. Um, and so we'll see what ends up happening with that, if she ends up making her way to Toronto eventually. But with Bridget, you know, she is the most veteran, like of like, I mean, I say of the available players, there's two. Of the two of them,
Right.
more veteran, great scorer, great defender. I mean, Minnesota's loved her. Cheryl Reeve says incredible things about her. Literally
Hmm.
2 weeks ago, she was the best player on a Canadian team that didn't end up making the World Cup, but she was the best player
Yeah.
on that team. Um and so yeah, like I personally knowing a little bit about how the draft was going to work and knowing about the unrestricted free agent rule, I was like, okay, either Toronto's going to take Bridget or I was like either someone's going to take her or like she won't be picked and then Toronto will go for her in free agency. Like that's what I kind of thought would happen. Um I did not expect Portland to take her first. Um
Yeah.
and like first of all, just like incredible for her. She's like she's an incredible person, a
Yeah.
great player, very excited for her. But we're sitting there and we kind of so we were on like the 68th floor of this like beautiful Toronto high rise and panoramic views. They have the stream playing on projections and then we were
Yeah.
just like sitting there waiting for right after for Monica and Eli to come talk in the presser. And so we're all watching and there's a crew of us who are just like on our laptops going and the stream starts and they're talking about the hype whatever whatever. And then I mean we could talk about the broadcast more a little bit later, but
Oh, we will. We will.
all of a sudden it's just like Portland picks Bridget like up on the screen and the entire room just goes like there's just like an audible like yeah like the air just leaves the room. And
I love it.
people like there's people being like, what? Like, oh my gosh, like what is happening? There was a few people being like, that's so rude, like what? Like, um, like how dare they?
Yeah.
Kind of vibe. And I just was like, I just sat there for a second. I was like, what the heck? And then we didn't really even have time to react to it because
No.
immediately right after it was like, okay, Julie on now. And then I was like, okay, well, that's our actual player. So, let's get going. And then literally 2 seconds after that, they just post the entire roster, right? So then I didn't really
Oh.
have time to like think about the fact that Bridget didn't get picked and the fact that like she got picked by Portland as a UFA. She's core eligible. Like she's staying there. Like that's the thing. Um, and so yeah, but the reaction in there was a very like it was very vocal. A lot of gasps, a lot of like, what just happened? How could they do that? And then online it was a lot of people being like, they stole it. And it is
Mhm.
funny. I do think it's funny the tweets that I've seen about people being like, this is like the rivalry begins and like this
Yeah.
was they took the Canadian player just to be petty and stuff like that. I think that's
Right.
really funny. But yeah, there was definitely a reaction. And I mean, Bridget still has a lot of basketball left to play in her career. So,
Yeah.
that's the thing with a lot of these Canadian players is like, maybe we don't get them this year, but I mean, this is just the beginning. We will have
Sure.
Canadian players to play on the tempo and overall, I think the most important thing for Bridget for her career is just, landing somewhere where she's wanted and needed and gets a good pay raise and is in a good situation. So we're happy for
I love that.
her.
And yeah, I definitely the reactions have been priceless, and yeah, it did seem like almost like too good to be true, like or just made too much sense. Like, oh, of course, the Lynx have to lose somebody. All right, they'll lose Bridget, and they'll lose her to Toronto. She'll be thrilled. Toronto will be happy to have her. The pride of Chatham. She's already thrown a first pitch at a Toronto Blue Jays game before.
Mhm.
It's just too perfect. So then here comes Portland. Um, and I mean, we'll
Funny.
we'll never know the full list of players who are unprotected, or maybe some of us will. I'm pretty sure I'll never know that. There's a few S tier media members way above me that would need to get that first before it came down to these hands. But of the players who got picked, I think Bridget is the best piece for team building of the names yesterday.
Mhm.
In the great pod you did with both Sean Hyken and Richard Cohen, Richard had mentioned sort of the big, all encompassing preview he did of trying to project who would be left unprotected and protected. Brianna Stewart being unprotected, but that doesn't mean she's gettable in
Yeah,
that
exactly.
situation. So it's hard to know like who really was available, like the
Mhm.
whole pool, and who the teams were valuing, and other metrics like that. But so, Portland doesn't owe Toronto anything. So it's like, hey, she's the best player in our
You
opinion.
have the first pick. Like you
Yeah,
gotta.
you picked like, yeah, Toronto had the right to choose too. They picked the number 6 pick, which maybe Lauren Betts will be available according to certain mocks. Like, the chaos will only continue. But yeah, it was just so WNBA of it to be like, okay, this isn't going to be chalk. Like, we can't let this be chalk. Yeah, it was a very fun way to start. And then yeah, let's talk about the broadcast. Why not?
Why not?
In about 2 seconds, it was Bridget Carlton to Portland, Julie Allemand to Toronto. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, Malika, we're going too fast here. with just those two. I'm like, oh, like they're just gonna go whatever. And then it looked like a little bit of a break because that wasn't technically the end of the first round. The first round was six picks.
Yeah.
I have too many questions to get to at this point. We're already moving on to the draft and free agency. Um, but then it was, I think, did they do Toronto first or did they do Portland first? A full team's list of selections was just on the screen next,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Whoa,
It was Toronto first.
Toronto first, right?" And then I saw that another Lynx fan favorite. So you did get one Lynx fan favorite, wasn't the one
Mhm.
everyone expected. Uh, Maria, aka Masha Klondikova, who is beloved. Sadly, not from Canada, from Russia. Um,
She will
at
be. She'll
she
adopt us.
oh, I think she will. Masha is good shit. I love Masha, and I mean, yeah, the expansion draft really robbed. Talking to every player on the Lynx is you almost always a joy, but BC and Masha have just been so many press availability highlights, especially last year with Masha. But so let's talk about her first, and then we can kind of go through the others. Masha is in a restricted free agent or reserve free agent. Um, how excited are you to cover her? You should be if
Yeah.
you seem excited already, but get more
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah.
But yeah, like how do you see her the tough defense, rebounds, just kind of nails down there. How do you think she'll fit into what this tempo team wants to be?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like personality wise, I think what people can expect from Toronto as a WNBA market, people from Toronto just love when people are happy to be here. Like that, when you think about like Raptors who have, you know, stood the test of time of fan favorites, it's the ones who genuinely embraced the city and
Hmm.
were just like joys to watch and joys to get to know. And so, I had some people sending me a few of those clips from Masha over, last year and just like her personality. And someone told me she taught someone how to drive.
She
And
taught Ola Kosu how to
yeah, how
drive, or
to
was
drive.
he? I don't know if the lessons were completed, but
Yeah.
yeah, she
She,
had a funny remark. She like told us to watch out because
yeah.
she and Ola were going driving later. I was like,
Yeah.
Macho, that's terrifying. Um,
So like just stuff like that where I'm like, okay, personality wise, I think that's really fun. And especially when you're building like a team and culture, you're trying to get fans involved, like that's super fun. And I do think the idea, similar to Golden State of Toronto, of getting a ton of international players, like Toronto's the perfect place to welcome international players.
mhm,
We have such a diverse like city here. Like no matter there is someone here from everywhere in the world. And so,
right.
there's going to be a community for any of these players no matter where they go. And so it's exciting to think about the idea of international players coming here and feeling like they can kind of have a space, maybe not in their home country, but somewhere that is, fun and diverse and welcoming to that. And then when you think about the on-court product, I mean, Toronto's picks yesterday were very backcourt heavy, very guard heavy. And
Mhm.
so obviously having someone like her who, is that what they need someone in the front court. They need someone who, and defense in this league is obviously a big, big thing when you're playing up against people like, I mean, now she's going to be playing against Nafisa Collier. She's going to be playing against, Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, like all of that stuff. And so I do like the idea that their two front court players that they drafted yesterday are people who have played one with Nafisa and two with Brianna Stewart and Jonquel Jones. And I think that is a testament to
Yeah.
some good strategy going on there. Um, and I mean, even they picked up Aaliyah Nye, who has played with Asia Wilson. And so yeah, I think that the idea of picking someone who is tough and who can, support the front court in that way. And like you said, I mean, we're not done team building. I think, building out the front court is going to be something that they take into free agency and take really, that's a need for them, obviously, in the draft. And we joked maybe about Lauren Betts. I don't think she falls to six, but who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's exciting, and expansion drafts are hard, of course, because of course, like me as someone who's receiving the players on my team, it's exciting, and I love that. But definitely feel for people who are losing, good culture
Sure.
pieces and good team pieces.
Yeah, and Masha was definitely that. And yeah, I'm excited for her to get into a spot where maybe, even expanded minutes.
Mhm.
She did get called into starting action in one game last year. And it's an awesome game against the Sparks. And yeah, she was just always so fun to be around. You could tell that she didn't have a ton of English to use in meter, but she always tried. Like
You
always,
know
like
what?
she would ask us like how to like say like certain things, and you would be a little bit embarrassed, but she was always very open with that, and I always that's something that I really appreciate in players. And I would joke with Lindsay Whalen sometimes about like Lindsay, you played in Russia. Can you chat with Mom? She's like, I think I can still count to 10. So I'll do like a countdown for like in like drills in Russian. But I don't know if other than Ola, I'm not sure how many other members of the organization were speaking conversational Russian with her.
Well, the thing, she's coming to Toronto at the perfect time because we are still in heated rivalry, fanatic
Yep.
over here. And so people are just learning Russian left, right, and center. Like we got so much Russian
That
going.
is amazing.
Yeah,
There will be a story. Someone's like, "How did you learn to speak Russian?" Heated rivalry.
literally,
Yeah,
yes.
one.
The fact that I know few terms in Russian now because of this show is hilarious. And I will pull them out for her, and she will probably
Yeah,
laugh at me.
you should ask your first question in Russian, but also learn
Butcher it.
how to say that is the only Russian I know. So she doesn't
Yes.
like hearing like, oh, like to
Well,
just start throwing rapid fire Russian at you.
the thing about learning Russian from a romance show is that the only things I really know how to
Oh,
say are like, I love you and like random other phrases.
maybe that's not the first day one media
Yeah,
availability,
day one. I know,
but
spasibo is thank you. So maybe
okay.
I'll throw out a thank you for
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So
that goes a long way. Yeah.
thank you, heated
It's
rivalry, for teaching
every
me
time, like
Russian.
international travel, like you'll hear people like, oh, like I went to France and all the French people were mean, and it's like I was like, well, like why? Like, well, they didn't speak English to me, like something like that. I'm like, did you try? Like,
Yeah.
no, I don't know French, but you
No.
learn a few survival phrases and just like be embarrassing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
then you're all good. You'll be
I
Masha's
will
favorite media member in just
immediately. I'll be like,
I
Masha,
guarantee it.
have you watched Heated Rivalry?
I I can see her doing
I'm
it.
sure most of them have at this
Right,
point.
right. So yeah, we'll see. When you look at the rest of these players, obviously Julie being the first player selected, that hints that that was like the priority, and I'm sure she was. But the Marina Mabrey selection is an interesting one. That's pretty exciting. I'm a big Mabrey head. You mentioned Aaliyah Nye. When you look at this group, obviously it will change. Another former Lynx player, Nikolina Milic, in there,
Mm.
also known as Nina. Uh, what kind of jumps out to you? Like, who do you see, like especially with, Golden State doing what they did last year,
Mm.
who can like you be like the Veronica Burton of this group or the Kayla Thornton of this group? That's a high bar, but let's get
Yeah.
crazy here.
Yeah, yeah, the first thing that Toronto very much wants to compete. Like,
Hmm.
and I think for me, I'm someone obviously who like is looking ahead to the drafts and whatever, but for me, I'm like there's no harm in like trying to go out swinging and just seeing what happens. Like
Hmm.
there's not much pressure in this situation, which is nice for Toronto. Like obviously you want to put a good product out there, you want to try, you want to compete. Um, and then you'll see what happens. So that's, I think, the vibe with picking these players. They're swinging big. They want to create a competitive team like Golden State did. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think so. Like the idea with them choosing to pick second, Eli Horowitz, the assistant general manager, went into this yesterday a little bit. He was like, okay, like when we took into stock expansion, there were four advantages. It was picking sixth in the draft, picking first in the expansion draft, picking first in the second round of the expansion draft, and being first on the waiver wire. So those were the four things. So when they won the coin toss, they were like, okay, we can hit three of those by this choice that we have.
Okay.
We can get the sixth pick, we can get the first pick in round two of the expansion draft, and we can be first on the waiver wire. So the big thing about them picking six. The other thing is that they're very confident about the top six in the draft. They think there's a very clear, you
Yeah.
know, all-star potential player in that mix, whoever ends up being sixth, right? So there's that. But so obviously then the other side of that is that they lose the first pick, but with Portland going ahead and picking Bridget first, that left all the free agents out. So Toronto was like,
Hmm.
"Okay, we don't have to pick our free agent first. We
Hmm.
can kind of wait a few." So that's why Marina Mabry's like, I mean, they didn't release the official, but I think that the ESPN list might have been the official order, but I know the Temple themselves were just kind of doing it in alphabetical order. But
Okay.
that's why Marina was a little bit not the first, like she was not the first pick. It's
Yeah,
because they're like, okay, we can kind of like take our foot off
because
the
Portland
gas and
couldn't
go
take
there.
her at any point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's an unrestricted free agent. So there was that. Um, and yeah, I mean, Monica said yesterday as well that like it was important to them to pick someone who is core eligible. So obviously, like expect Toronto to core Marina Mabry.
Hmm.
That is an ex like I saw that and I was like, I see the vision. I see the vision with that
Oh yeah.
because she is an incredible shooter. And I've always said, I was like, they need to bring someone to Toronto who is big personality.
Yeah.
Big, big, big and I say that in the most positive way possible.
Hmm.
Toronto people love players with personality. And to build a fan base where people are passionate, bringing someone like Marina in who will literally, like, people are going to treat this woman like a god. Like, they're going to love her. She's spicy. She
She
can
is. Yeah.
shoot. She can bring big moments. Like, that's
Right.
what Toronto
She's a
people
little
love.
mean in like the right ways, just on the
Yeah.
court. Yeah, you love players like that.
Exactly. Like people are going, when I say Toronto fans are going to absolutely like latch on to her and just like eat everything she does up. Like
Yeah.
if I were her, I'd be thrilled to come. Like I don't know, like people, maybe people don't really know Toronto very well, but I hope hopefully that
Yeah.
she'll integrate well. So that I was like, okay, that's great.
She's
But
from New Jersey, played at Notre Dame, was just in Connecticut. Like the cold weather is not going to scare her.
yeah,
Like,
and I mean she doesn't
yeah.
even have to be here in the winter, you know? She's coming in
Oh,
the
that's
best time
exactly
of
right. Yeah.
year.
I
She's
keep
coming the best
forgetting
time of
what.
year.
Yeah.
Like Toronto, like, and yeah, that's the other
Well, if
thing
you're
is like,
playing the WNBA finals, it can get kind of cold. So
oh yeah, a
just
little
throwing
bit,
that out
yeah,
there.
yeah.
If that
So I
late,
mean,
but
okay, so but it's like, yeah, she's used to that. But that's the other thing is like coming to a city where like summer is truly like you can feel the energy in this city in the summer, and
right.
so that's
I've heard
exciting.
legendary things about summertime in Toronto,
Yeah,
and
people aren't
I'm
even
gonna. I haven't
ready.
booked any accommodations yet, but I'm gonna come. I think there's one Lynx Toronto game in Toronto this
Yeah, it's the
year.
big
Yeah,
one too. It's at the big arena.
it is. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm coming.
it'll be
I'm
a fun
gonna
one.
when I'm done doing the million things I have to do for content this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get on the travel apps hard and see if I can make that work. But I will.
Yeah. But man, like yeah, and people aren't even like I live here. And so like I don't know, it's just it's incredible. You have to come experience it. But anyways,
Yeah,
go back to the players.
yeah.
Um
That's the important thing here.
the important thing. So like yeah, Marina and then you get someone I think Aaliyah Nye was such a great pick. I'm
Yeah, that's a
shocked
sneaky one.
for the
Aces
second
fans
year
were
in a
pissed that she was
yeah.
left off the list.
Well, because it was like second year of a row, your like fan beloved rookie gets
Sure, yeah.
stolen. Um but I like again, like a sharp shooting is going to develop really well. We'll likely get more minutes here in Toronto. Love that. The Nair Sabally pick, someone who's ready for, a little bit of a bigger role. I think that is amazing. And I think again, she's just gonna come and obviously know Sandy Brondello as a coach is
Hmm.
gonna be, she's at an age, she's 26, step into a little bit more of a leadership role, all of that stuff. So I think that's a fantastic pick as well. And then, I mean, you think about the people who haven't even come over yet. Like the Tempo are so invested in Maria Conde as a prospect. Like they
Hmm.
love her, and so yeah, like if she. I mean, I haven't heard for sure if she's coming this year or not, but whenever she does end up coming, like that's one they're hype about. So I'm excited to see that. Julie Allemande, like picking someone who is, like a great point guard, can facilitate all of that stuff. So, like I said, it's very guard heavy right now, but it gives them a lot of flexibility. It gives them a lot of them are very like dynamic two-way wings, a lot of shooting, and gives them a lot of flexibility when it comes to the draft and into free agency. And I know like another thing is in this draft too, people are like, oh, they didn't get this person or they didn't go for this person. I'm like, okay, yeah, because free agency is happening and they
Yeah.
already have targets for free agency. And, you know, as much as we probably want to say conversations aren't happening because free agency hasn't started yet, I mean, in a
Oh, they're
condensed
happening.
free
They've
agency
they've
right
been
now,
happening. Yeah.
this is not the year for Tampa. Like the WNBA just has to look the other way this year. Like there's no way you can do this in like the week that they're going to give them. So there's things happening behind the scenes. There's plans happening. And so, yeah, I mean, overall, just like looking at this roster, obviously there's no time to go player by player by player, but I mean, I just think they gave themselves a ton of things to work with. They gave themselves options. They gave themselves if most of these players end up making the roster, great. If some of them don't end up coming over this year, that just gives them stashable picks for, the future assets. And Toronto's also first on the waiver wire, which is going to be huge when you think about these
Yeah.
other teams building and Toronto being able to kind of snatch players who end up being left off of other rosters as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's like Monica said yesterday, they're in a
Yeah.
great position.
Right. I wanted to ask you a little bit about Monica. Obviously, she was a player who helped put three of the four championship banners on the rafters at Target Center for the Lynx. Lynx fans, obviously, very familiar with uh, you know, a lot of revere for her as a player and the role that she played on those championship teams. What have your impressions of her been as executive in the interactions with the media so far?
Oh man, Monica is a incredible human being. Like I obviously like she got introduced. I actually met her for the first time like personally. There was like this dinner I got invited to and I
Ooh,
ended up just like being sat next to her like at
right.
the table and it was like a very like, small group of us and she was just so fun to talk to. Like I was
Yeah.
I sit there and you're a little intimidated at first because, like, it's the general manager of this big, WNBA team. She's a WNBA champion. It was like 10 minutes in, we were talking about Costco. She was like, what grocery stores do you go to? Like,
Yeah.
all this stuff, just like so down to earth, so easy to talk to. Such like a great, like, she's someone who really, I think, understands the importance of every part of the ecosystem. She was a player, so she's very tapped into player needs. She's now an executive. She understands what goes on in the front office. She's, even yesterday, like she ends her press conference and there's a row of us at the front who like have been covering thing after thing after thing for the tempo and just comes up to us and is like, so nice to see familiar faces. Like, thank you so much for coming, all of this stuff. And just like, yeah, every conversation I have with her is just, obviously she's so smart about the business side and the strategy side and bringing someone like Eli in who is very like much a strategic mind who like can do a lot of that planning and strategic
Mhm.
thought also balances with her experience as a player and so I think they balance each other really well. And I mean, I think she's just a great leader. I think she's someone I think who is going to attract a lot of great talent to Toronto because players really respect former players. Like having that bond with someone who isn't just like a suit, who has been in your shoes, who knows the growth of this league, who has been here for very, and she, like you said, she's a champion, right? Like she knows what it takes to win. And so all of those factors just make her, I think, a great executive and a great leader for this team. And I mean, interacting with her as media is just like it's such a great experience. Like it's so nice to work with her. She understands the importance of what we do. We obviously understand the importance of her role. And so, yeah, even after the press conference, she was like, I was expecting people to be, a little bit more, like a little bit more tough. Like, yeah, that was pretty easy. And I was like, there you go. Like, Toronto media for you.
Right. Well, team loses a couple games, then I'm sure it'll it'll turn around. But yeah, it does seem like it's just a really fun story. Obviously a great addition. My first year on the Lynx beat was the 2023 season, which included that preseason game between the Lynx and the Sky in Toronto, and I did not go, but just in covering it, you could tell it was a packed house, lots of fanfare around a preseason game. And it was, a matter of if, not when, or a matter of when, not if, Toronto was going to end up being in this league. So I'm happy they are. I'll be happy to, see you in person at some point in the glorious Toronto summertime sunshine.
Yeah.
Anything else before I let you get out of here that you want to hype up or just point to? You obviously had a great piece on the Nine Sports about this. Anything you want to make sure that the fans in Minnesota know about us, the new kids on the block, our neighbor, not to the north. I mentioned up there in Toronto earlier. Minnesotans
To the
will
side.
Minneapolitans will be very quick to mention like we're actually further north than Toronto.
Mhm.
But so yeah, our neighbors to the east, just on the other side of Detroit.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Oh man, I think, first of all, if you're in Minnesota and you're looking at it to see an away game, the atmosphere is just going to be incredible. And I think just like, I don't know, I think just like we're not done building. I think there's just so much excitement, there's so much hype, but this is just the beginning, and I'm excited for people around the league, not just in somewhere like Minnesota, but I'm excited for people around the league to, I mean, you got a taste obviously with that game that was in Canada, but like to
Mhm.
now have a team that's our identity and our city and our pride, I think is going to show quite a lot this season. I think people are going to be very pleasantly surprised with the way that this team succeeds as a team, not just like on the
Mhm.
on-court product, but succeeds as a franchise. And so, I mean, I think the message is just like we're just so happy to be here and so excited to be at this moment. And yeah, we're gonna bring it.
You did mention the location of the press conference yesterday.
Yeah.
68th floor of a skyscraper,
Yeah.
which you mentioned in the Slack channel felt strategic. Can you just talk about that? Because I feel like that was maybe a little bit of a shrewd move that signals like we're not just happy to be here, but like we're going to be players in this massive free agent frenzy. But yeah, tell us a little bit more about just like the surroundings of where that press conference was located, making sure that people saw what Toronto has to offer.
Yeah, I mean, the downtown core building, it was like right on King West, which Toronto people know is like kind of a hub in Toronto. But yeah, I think one of the best things Toronto has as an asset when it comes to free agency is location. And a lot of the players I know, like especially when they've come up for these preseason or like games and these Canada games over the past few years, a lot of them have never been. And I do think there's a lot of like misunderstanding about what Toronto is as a city and what kind of like how big it is. Like I don't think people really understand like how like lively it is as a city.
Hmm.
And so once I think players start coming up here, once they kind of see what how exciting and what the vibes are, I think Toronto is going to use their location as an asset. And so yeah, just being there in the building, 68th floor, your ears are popping as you go up the elevator.
Yep.
Beautiful panoramic views of the city. I mean, in every picture of the press conference, it's like you can see in the windows just like the city, like
Hmm.
the water because we're right on the lake. Like Toronto has beaches. Toronto has, there's a whole island you can go and just like have a fun time at, ride bikes, do whatever. We have green space, we have activities. There's a festival every weekend in Toronto. The weather is beautiful. The fans are hype. Like I think using that location to their advantage and being like, you want to live somewhere cool? Come here and also
Yep.
be beloved by your fans and play for a really great organization. So, yeah, I do think the location is going to be such a huge asset. And I was talking about this with some of the guys on the Raptors beat last week where I was like, maybe not this year, but once players start coming here on road
Hmm.
trips and like even
Yeah.
like to Montreal and Vancouver and the other places that we're going to be playing, like once they start coming and seeing,
Mhm.
I feel like Toronto's gonna kind of boost in terms of a free agency locale.
Okay. Who are you? Are you playing the Fire in Vancouver?
I think so. There's two,
Ooh.
one's the Aces. It's the Aces is one,
Okay.
and the Fire might be the other because that just makes sense.
Yeah. So BC will be playing in Canada. I know it's the
Yeah.
other
I know.
side,
So
but it's, it's
every team has two home games in Toronto, most of them anyway. And so I do think with these games that they're playing in Vancouver and Montreal, they were very selective with picking teams that were also going to come back to Toronto. So every
okay.
team will play in Toronto, and then some of them will play a second game in another
Another
location.
location. Okay.
Yeah. So Bridget will come
Uh,
to Toronto at
I
some
might
point.
come to that game when
Yeah.
Portland
No,
at
my,
Toronto. I might come to that.
I'm like, my big thing is like, if you can't come to Toronto, it is going to be a pretty busy summer in Toronto. So, like, if that
Yep.
doesn't work out, I love the city of Montreal. Beautiful place to be. Like, if you want to come to Montreal and
Mhm.
Vancouver, I mean, we had the game there last year. Again, another
Mhm.
stunning place to be. So, if you're on the West Coast and
Right.
you want to come, Vancouver's also a great option. But oh man, Montreal, Paige Becker's in
I
Montreal. Like, come, come have
Yeah,
fun.
that's perfect. I've heard so many good things about Montreal, and I've had like different people who know me but like don't know each other like separately say like,
Yeah,
"Oh, Terry, you'd love Montreal." So there's something about Montreal that people think I
it's
personally would love. So
it's a beautiful city.
I gotta get. I've been to Vancouver several times, and
Mhm.
being a Minnesotan, I have of course been to Winnipeg, but
Nice.
you know.
I haven't.
No, nothing but love to the city of Winnipeg. I think I have listeners there, maybe a couple.
Shout out
Um,
Winnipeg.
shout out Winnipeg, go Jets. But yeah, Montreal's been on the list for a while, so obviously lots. Not that you need
Same.
more reasons to travel to the beautiful country of Canada, as long as they keep letting people like us up there. I'm not sure they should, but I'm happy to take advantage. Um, Chelsea, thank you so much for the time today. I know we both need to get back and write, I don't know, like a million different free agency previews about different
Oh,
scenarios and all kinds of stuff. I don't know what day it is or what time it is, but I'm thankful for you to come on the show to talk about this historic occasion. So thank you so much.
of course. Happy to talk Toronto Tempo anytime, anyplace.
For sure. Always great to chat with you, Chelsea. So I'm going to end the interview here. I'm actually just going to end the episode here to make it easier for editing. Thank you, listener, for listening to this episode of Lynx Happy Hour. Shout out once again to Pentz Homes and the Hitting the Hardwood podcast network, Firehawk Construction. Shout out always, Fantasy Sports Evo, Homage, Apparel. It's been a long time since I did an episode, so if I missed you, sponsor, please don't get mad at me. We'll make sure that your shout out is added in post. This show is back. We'll be back weekly, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. I know Saturday isn't typically a happy hour day, but wanted to let the expansion draft do its thing. And we will be back next week with another exciting episode of Lynx Happy Hour. Have a great rest of the weekend, everybody. Peace.